Ma'am, that's not real medicine. You can't bring street drugs on this plane. Janet Morrison yanked the inhaler from Ma's trembling hands. The cabin fell silent. Air hung heavy, thicker than the tension. Mia sat frozen in seat 2A, hoodie sleeves tugged over her fists, chest rising too fast. I can't breathe, she whispered, voice crushed by panic. Janet held the inhaler aloft like evidence at a trial. Next you'll tell me this candy is chemotherapy. Mia lifted her wrist, silver medical bracelet catching the cabin light. Janet didn't flinch. Cheap jewelry saved the act. Phones rose in slow motion. Record. Buttons blinked red. Maya's breaths grew sharper like someone drowning upright. Her knuckles turned white clutching the armrest. You don't belong in this section, Janet added, voice flat. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. And in that silence, complicity curled itself around every seated stranger. Maya sat motionless in seat 2A, eyes fixed on the seat back ahead, trying to ignore the sideways glances. Her hoodie was faded at the seams, one elbow thinning. The backpack at her feet had a torn zipper. Her sneakers, once white, were now ghosted with city dust and frayed at the edges. First class smelled like citrus and leather. Maya smelled like the bus ride she'd taken to the airport. A woman 2 rows up leaned toward her husband and whispered, "That girl's in the wrong seat." The man didn't reply. He just looked. Maya heard it anyway. She pulled her boarding pass from her jeans pocket and stared at the letters 2A. Correct. Still, her chest tightened, not from asthma, but from knowing. Janet Morrison stood by the galley, eyes scanning the cabin, then landed on her. Hesitation. She stepped forward. "Miss Boarding Pass. Please." Maya looked up, held it out with both hands. Janet's eyes flicked from the ticket to the girl, then back again, her lips curled. "To AA," she read aloud. There was no accusation in her voice, not yet. Just a tone, just doubt. She didn't move, didn't walk away. Her silence said more than words. Her eyes traveled from Ma's worn hoodie to the unraveling strap of her backpack. One brow lifted slightly involuntarily. Behind them, a man cleared his throat. Another passenger raised his phone a little higher, not to record, just to look busy. Janet took a shallow breath, then turned her expression unreadable. But Maya felt it. The message was clear, written in looks instead of letters. People who dress like you don't belong. In seats like this, and the air felt colder after Janet walked away. Maya stared down at her lap, fingers twisting the corner of her sleeve. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. Don't let the way you look decide who you are. But right now, it felt like everyone had already decided. She thought of the old backpack beside her. Her father had handed it to her that morning. The same one he'd patched up 3 times. Still got one more trip in it. He'd smiled. She had saved for months tutoring neighborhood kids just to afford the trip, but the seat in first class hadn't come from her savings. MIT had given her a full scholarship, and with it a ticket to Boston with a first-class voucher, a gesture of welcome. It didn't feel like one now. Janet stood 2 rows behind, eyes locked on her again. Maya Thompson. 17, MIT bound, alone on a plane. But what Janet saw was just a girl in a hoodie. A kid like that, Janet's thought sharpened into suspicion. Sure knows how to play the system. A man across the aisle tilted his phone slightly. He thought maybe Mia was some viral social experiment or a YouTuber pranking first class. Maya felt it all. The staring, the judging. She shrank in her seat. The overhead lights bounced off the peeling threads on her backpack. Her jeans had a tear in one knee, not fashionably torn. Just worn out. She adjusted her hoodie like armor. She wasn't cold. She was disappearing. Janet didn't look at the boarding pass again. She looked at the girl, at the shoes, at the frayed cuffs. And in that stare, Maya felt smaller than her seat. Not because she didn't belong here, but because someone had already decided she didn't. Janet had once left the wrong passenger board with the wrong item. A man in a button-down shirt, polite smile, claimed it was a medical spray. Turned out to be something else entirely, something illegal, something headliner-worthy. The fallout had been swift. An internal investigation. A 2-week suspension, a final warning in her file. 12 years of spotless service almost erased in one mistake. She'd never fully recovered from it. Since then, anything out of